Lakers even their series with the Suns last night after a 109-102 victory. Chris Paul was limited for Phoenix, only playing 7 minutes in the second half, as his injured right shoulder was clearly bothering him still. And the way AD and LeBron played down the stretch, it may not have made a difference either way. The duo combined, yes, they combined for 19 points in the fourth quarter, and Frank Vogel raved about them after the game, saying, quote, "Those are two of the top 5 players in the NBA. We have a formula where those guys carry a big load, especially at crunch time." Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joining us now. Chris, how about this? Scale 1 to 10, how impressive was the Lakers win?
I'm going to say a 6, Jen. Look, first let me give props to Anthony Davis. He was beaten up over the last 2 days for letting DeAndre Ayton outplay him in game 1, and he answered the bell. Great game, offensively and defensively. Had the 3 blocks, had the late block on DeAndre Ayton in the paint, which was tremendous. So AD played an outstanding game, so I'm going to give him his props because I ripped him after that first game. LeBron is looking like the wise elder, like the grandmaster in chess. I mean, he is just offensively, he seems to be making every right play. He's playing with his smarts, with his savvy, with his poise. And his jump shot, I've never seen him shoot like this. Like, his jumper is just falling. I mean, he made some tremendous shots last night. Obviously, the dagger three-pointer with 48 seconds left. So, and he doesn't quite have his athleticism. We see that. He's not really going into the paint. Yeah, he exploded on the breakaway dunk in the first half. But for the most part, he's not driving the lane. I think he feels like he's not sure how high he's getting up and finishing in traffic. So, but I think over time that'll come. And so if he's playing like this with the floor game, plus when he gets his athleticism back, that's good for the Lakers. Defensively, they were terrific. So the Lakers just played a great game. I like that they played big. I've been begging them on this show. If you're going to play Drummond and AD together, then play big. Don't play a finesse game when those two are on the floor together. And I thought last night both Drummond and AD went in the paint more. AD had a nice balance, wasn't just on the perimeter. He was inside a lot. The reason I only give him a 6 is because they did not demoralize Phoenix. They didn't take their heart, and they let Phoenix still think it can win this series. I wanted them to close the door, put it in Phoenix's mind that this is over. You are facing the defending champs. Nice game 1, but you're going down. I don't think Phoenix feels that way. They've played the Lakers tough without Chris Paul for the most part, limited to 23 minutes yesterday, and was only mediocre in those minutes because of his shoulder. Devin Booker can feel rightly like, I've been the best player on the floor in this series. And DeAndre Ayton looks like a future all-star. He looks like just about the perfect type of big man you would want for the NBA today. So Phoenix still has life. Look, I think the Lakers are winning it, but in Phoenix's minds, they were not demoralized, and they're not at that point where they realize, okay, we're just facing a superior team. We can't win this thing. A lot of times teams get to that point, but Phoenix is not there, so I only gave the Lakers a 6.
Well, I only gave him an 8 because Chris Paul wasn't able.
8?
Yeah, I gave him an 8.
Only an 8?
Only 8. Because Chris Paul wasn't able to play his allotted minutes. And had he been there, I'm not so sure the outcome would have been different. Because Cameron Payne gave them great minutes, Chris. He gave them great minutes off the bench. Yep. He did a great job of shooting the ball. He found some guys driving to the basket. And this was a true road playoff game, Skip. They say the crowd estimated about 12,000. And I love the way AD bounced back. Frank Vogel said, you know, we got a formula. You know, most formulas are secret, like the secret of KFC. You know, you don't know what's in those chicken herbs and spices. You don't know what that is, Chris. You know, some of your grandma's recipes. She won't tell you exactly what she put in there, but that thing be tasting good. Our formula for success is no secret. It's 6'9" and 6'10". One from Akron.
No, it's 6'10".
Yeah, see, there you go, Skip. There you go. And one is from the west side of Chicago, Anthony Davis. Got it going. Anytime somebody shoots 21 free throws, Chris, it lets you know they're aggressive. And then when he hit that 3, he looked at Bron and said, I got you. I said, I told you I got you. Well, Bron said, well, you said you got me. Let me go and nail this thing shut. But I believe the biggest difference in this game last night, and you left one guy out, I like Drummond, and I told you, Chris, you know what? Bron will give Drummond the ball. If he gets a mismatch or he gets his guy sealed way down, LeBron will give it to him. No one else understands how to feed the post because Anthony Davis really doesn't spend a whole lot of time in the post. Bron knows how to feed the post, but Dennis Schroeder might have played one of his better games all year because he was aggressive. He was getting to the lane. He made a couple of threes, and he made his free throws. I believe those were give LeBron and AD their flowers. We knew they had to play well. But if Schroeder and Drum doesn't play like they play, I'm not so sure we still win that game, even with Chris Paul out the floor. But moving forward, they're demoralized because you know why? They know Chris Paul is going to be a shell of himself. You're not beating the Lakers without a healthy Chris Paul. I'm not so sure you could beat him if you had a healthy Chris Paul. But hey, it doesn't matter. Chris Paul, Cliff Paul, Jake Paul, Logan Paul. Lakers in 5 now, Chris.
And he might as well now be Cliff Paul. Chris Broussard, this series is tied 1-1, and it is over. I picked Lakers in 5 before it started, and I actually thought that Chris Paul was going to be healthy. The Phoenix Suns had one player in the MVP conversation over the last month, and it was not Devin Booker. It was CP3, who has now become CP0. And, Chris, I got to call you on what you predicted yesterday. You predicted that CP3 would be 85% last night.
75. 75.
I think I heard 85, but 75. That's what I wrote down. I don't know.
I said I thought
I'll give you 75. Well, the truth was he was...
It was wrong either way.
He was 3%. And as Monty Williams said after the game, I had to pull him in the second half because he couldn't make the passes he usually makes. And he couldn't even, said Monty Williams, run the way he was running in shoot-around that morning. That it was debilitating. The pain from the shoulder even affected his gait. Right. Well, that's not good.
It Skip, you'd have thought as he warmed up, because for shooting around, you're not really warm. And he's like, okay, he's moving pretty good. So by the time we get warm, gets a little more treatment, he just crashed.
He was an offensive liability. Yeah. This game was, as I predicted yesterday, a mismatch. This was the best bet of the night, was to take the Lakers, who opened as a 2.5-point underdog in game 1, which surprised me, and then they went all the way to a 2-point favorite last night strictly because the odds makers knew Chris Paul would not be even remotely close to Chris Paul. So he barely played in the second half. He totaled 1 point and 2 assists in the second half, and it psychologically demoralized the Suns. The Lakers went up 15 mid-third quarter and just hit cruise control, and it was pretty shameful that they let Phoenix creep back into the game with Cameron Payne running the point and shooting threes. He's on his 5th NBA team. For a while, he played in China. He had to come back and reprove himself in the G League even to get the deal with the Suns. So I'm sorry, I can't get all hyped about Cameron Payne beating the Lakers in games 3 and 4 at Staples. It ain't happening.
I just think they should probably, Chris, I told Skip earlier, I believe they should rest Chris Paul for this Thursday game and try to get him as healthy as I possibly can. And I don't know how many people at home has ever had a stinger, but I remember I was playing fullback in 1992, and I hit Ken Norton, and my head didn't...
Fullback?
I was playing fullback.
Why were you playing fullback?
I was an H-back fullback. You know how I did.
Oh, you had been Tebow. You're playing in the Tebow position. Got it. Thank you.
But I hit Ken Norton, and my neck did the same thing. And Skip, the pain that I felt, I looked at him, and I looked at me. He looked at me, and I looked at him. I was like, you felt that? You're like, yeah, I think I got a stinger. I said, yeah, I know I got one. And woo! The only thing that, like I said, but I didn't have to play. If I'd had to play 2 days later, ain't no way I'm playing. I missed a week of practice and was able to get back after they got...
Obviously, a stinger happens when one of your cervical discs up in your neck goes a little sideways and hits a nerve, and you just get a bolt down your...
Oh, you cry.
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't think... Oh, it'll make you cry.
And remember, when he was writhing, he was going down his arm. He was holding, like rubbing his arm.
It's like a burning, it's like a tingling sensation.
All the way to the tips of your fingers.
All the way. So I know what Chris Paul is going through because he's a right-handed player. How the hell you a right-handed player, Chris, and you know you got to dribble the ball, you got to shoot the ball, you try to pass the ball. You can't do that with one arm.
So I think you just made my case for me. Thank you very much. Because, Chris, on the impressive scale of 1 to 10, I'll give the Lakers a 1, maybe just because they did hold them off and win the game. But how can you give it a 6 or an 8 when there's no Chris Paul? He's the driving force of the Phoenix Suns. He's the reason that they were where they were this year. They were vying for the 1 seed because of Chris Paul.
You ain't say nothing about that when LeBron's ankle was hurting. You didn't say anything about that.
He's just fine.
Right.
The one-legged LeBron.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Chris,
No,
go ahead.
I thought, and you know this, Shannon, from the stinger, a lot of times a stinger doesn't even last a full day. It can last a couple hours, you know, sometimes. And then with Monty Williams talking after practice Monday, saying Chris is a lot better, he won't be nearly as sore. I thought it might be a stinger that goes away relatively quickly. Obviously, that's not the case. It's not a bad idea to rest him. But you know, Skip, in the playoffs, it's win in advance. So whether they win by 25 or they win by on a buzzer beater, the Lakers will take it. Now they have home court advantage. I still don't think the Suns are demoralized because I think Devin Booker is built a certain way. And I think he's learned from Kobe. He used to listen to Kobe, and Kobe's told him some things about the Mamba mentality. So I think he's coming out there thinking, I can beat these Lakers, even though they can't.
Okay, I got you, but did you notice that Devin Booker last night was 0 for 3 from 3? You're not going to win your home game if your shooting star, can't make a couple of threes.
He was 7 of 17. Sorry. They got bailed out from the free throw. They called 3 fouls on 3-point shots that you know they weren't no foul, Chris. They gave